I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, December the 14th, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Try their feedlot starter tub. Try it for the first 21 days after you get new cattle in. It's got highly digestible energy. It gets them drinking and eating quicker, and you guys know how important that is. Get the blue tub. Visit Vitalix.com. Heavy receipts of feeder cattle last week, and the biggest, probably biggest receipts we'll see all year. It just fell just right where they were on there. We've seen lighter receipts all fall here, and as we're moving into the winter, it's not officially winter, but we've seen lighter receipts. But this past week's receipts were heavier than a year ago's receipts, and we did catch up some, even though we've been falling back a little bit. But market held up fairly well under the big heavy receipts. Mentioned through the week there that the lack of trucks hurt the market in many places. Just, our infrastructure in the commercial cattle business just is not big enough to handle all of them at once, or so many of them at once. And you know, there's a lot of times, you know, those truckers are sitting around wishing that they had loads to haul, and then you know, certain times of the year, like this past week, they just can't get around, and they keep you know, making it tougher and tougher on them. But you know, pretty good week. A lot of guys were out at the rodeo. I was out there pretty much all week, even though I did work 2 sales in the area, production type sales for DV Auction. I did a couple of Zoom presentations, one for Missouri Livestock Symposium and one for the New Mexico Cattle Growers. I think both of those turned out pretty well, but got to see a lot of folks around the rodeo. It was just so spread out. It wasn't like Vegas, you know. It was a good 30 or 40 miles between Arlington, where the rodeo was being held, and a lot of the stuff, and then over towards the Stockyards area in Fort Worth. It's so spread out. It was really, you felt a little bit disconnected, and if you guys didn't make it down, you just watched it on TV, you had the best seat in the house. That building they played it in, big enough to play baseball in, too big to have a rodeo in. It was huge. And then with all the safeguards they had for the COVID-19, just you know, kind of ruined the whole thing a little bit, but still lucky enough to be able to have it. A lot of things they've had to cancel altogether, and I tell you what, if you guys watched it on TV, and I only went to one performance there live, but I tell you what, those opening ceremonies they had to that rodeo, if those weren't fantastic, every night just make you feel patriotic and loving the country, and almost put a lump in your throat every single night. And I tell you what, if people don't enjoy and love the sport of rodeo, it's just it's unbelievable that there'd be an American out there that wouldn't tune into that and just sop up every bit of it, because it was just absolutely fantastic. And I think they did such a good job with the production of it and everything, showing the camaraderie between the athletes like you don't normally see. You sure don't ever see any taunting or anything like that going on in rodeo. You know, guys will root for the people that are against them, or you know, challenging them for the big money. But I was glad to see Shad Mayfield win the world in the calf roping. Knew his dad, Sylvester, years ago whenever I was back in Clovis around there, and had a lot of fun with him. But it was just a pretty good deal last week. But back here in friendly confines, and sure glad to be home. Had a kind of a storm come through the Southern Plains over the weekend, and left a skiff of snow. Showed up here in Amarillo area, 2 to 3 inches of snow. Not a big deal. A little bit more up in the Oklahoma Panhandle, 5, 6, 7 inches there, and just over the line into Kansas, like Liberal, Kansas, and places like that. Make it a little bit more miserable. The snow was a little bit of drift, and it was kind of dry, but a lot of wind and kind of cold, and it was a little shock to the system. I hadn't seen a whole lot of that yet this year, but it's not going to affect things too much. make things a little bit miserable, but not enough moisture in there to really cause a whole lot of mud problems or anything like that. And those cattle that are in the feedlots, you know, they got that rumen working. That's their own built-in furnace, and they're staying pretty comfortable. You know, I seen some cattle humped up on the wheat fields that probably didn't have enough to eat that they were out there, but they weren't enjoying it too much. But it wouldn't be like a big major snowstorm like they get up in the Midwest sometimes. But let's talk about what else was going on. You know, we came into this past week thinking that we were in pretty good shape. And we had a disappointing week on the fat cattle the week before, where we came into that week thinking that we were sure going to gain a buck, and then we ended up losing a buck. And told you guys, you know, that's like throwing a pick six on the goal line going the other way. And then we came in this week figuring we could probably hold steady, and then all of a sudden find out that folks are selling fat cattle $2 lower on a Tuesday morning. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see them do that again this week. These packers have been spreading these stories. You know, a few weeks ago it was about how they didn't think they were going to be able to keep the processing going at a full rate because of the COVID-19. That was a complete lie. We haven't seen any slowdowns or closures or anything due to reoccurrence of COVID-19 with all the safeguards that they've got in there. And you know, and people are still getting it at times. We've got some treatments for it now, but I'm not sure what good all these shutdowns do. We just keep having more shutdowns and more shutdowns. Well, if they worked, wouldn't they have already worked once before? But I tell you what, we just those stories that the packers put out, and the packer buyers are putting those out. And I tell you what, this last week their story was that they were going to slow the change speeds down to nearly nothing during the holidays. And if you had some cattle you wanted to get them killed before next year, you better hurry up and trade with us at a lower market. The main reason they were doing that is because box beef cutout values, the wholesale price the packers are getting, fell like an absolute rock. But we're not in the same business. That's not the cattle people's fault, problem there. That's the packers' problem. But they're good at telling those stories and getting people excited and nervous, and being able to really manipulate the trade by doing that. But you can always tell when those packers are lying, as their lips will be moving. And it reminds me of a story a good friend of mine told me. He grew up in a terminal stockyard, and his dad had a commission firm there, and he was, of course, friends with everybody that traded in there. But perhaps one of his best friends was a guy that was a packer buyer for one of the plants that was just across the road there, and they negotiated on cattle every week. And they were very, very good friends. They went to ball games together. They drank together. They hung out together. They fished together. They did all that kind of stuff, but they never did talk about the market. And this friend of mine said, he asked his dad, he said, how come you never talk to Bob about the market? And he says, Bob's my friend. Why would I ask him a question when I know that he's going to lie to me? And so I thought that was a good story there, but that's exactly how it goes. You know, you have to deal with those people, but that's their job, is to lie to you. And it's not like the rodeo. They're not going to root for you. They're going to do their best to out-trade you, and they do a lot. But tell you what, 2020's been a rough one. We can't wait for it to get over. There's not going to be a whole lot. This week probably won't be a full week. There'll be some late week sales, and they'll be on lighter receipts, and that'll be the last sale they have. And already heard that there's a few sales that just been having specials now and then that already aren't going to be having a sale. So check your schedules, guys, because it's very important that you check that schedule. I know Joplin Regional Stockyards that help sponsor the Feeder Flash here, they're going to be having a sale, of course, here on Monday, and that's their big sale. But it's not as big as normal. They're going to be on reduced receipts. They're going to sleep in. They're not even going to start till 8:30, which is really late for them to get going. But only expecting around 3,500 head here for this Monday. They are going to have a sale on the 21st. and then they will be closed from the 22nd of December until the 2nd of January, and then open back up and be having regular Monday sales again on the 4th. But most of that would be expected. The only thing that may not is they're not planning on having a cow sale on the 23rd on that Wednesday. So, but just whatever market you're going to go to, just check your schedules and make the plans there. I wouldn't want to run really close up, even if they're having a sale, you know, at late there in the week, and I wouldn't want to get too close to it, because I tell you what, whenever you sell feeder cattle and it's just a few days until a major holiday, well, those cattle got to be processed when they get there. Those people that run those processing crews and those feedlot people, they want to spend time with their families too. And you guys might not be thinking about it, but your order buyers are going to be thinking about it, and the guys that are putting the orders out are going to be thinking about it. So don't run them right up to the very edge. I wouldn't recommend that at all. And usually when we come out of the holidays, getting into a new year, especially getting this bastard year over, 2020, there should be a resurgence when we start those new sales January the 1st. There hadn't been a lot of cattle moving. They've loosened up some pen space there, and it's usually some of your best sales coming back after the new year. Tell you what, this year has been such a mess. Now, you know, on top of the COVID and the politics and everything that's gone on, all of our heroes that's died, a lot of them in music. Charlie Pride passed away here late last week, and that was another bummer right there. I tell you what, he was such a great artist. Now the latest thing I've seen, after we lost the Redskins as a football team, now they're saying that the Cleveland baseball team is not going to call themselves the Indians anymore. Imagine that. You know, it's just ridiculous. And then you go back to rodeo. If you guys have known that they have the Indian National Finals, and it's Indians that put it on, and they call it the Indian National Finals because they're Indians. But you know, we're just worrying about how people feelings are going to get. Who cares? You know, telling people how to live and then worrying about your feelings all the time. It's just getting ridiculous. But let's talk about the board for last week. December live cattle futures. Monday was down 87, Tuesday down 15, Wednesday down 47, Thursday finally up 55, Friday up 82, and it was nice to see a little comeback on that. If we traded steady money, we'd have a little basis this week, because December live cattle ended the week at 108.75, down just 12 cents for the week. So, you know, not the worst thing in the world, actually. February live cattle ended the week at 113.25, actually up 85 cents with some late week gains. January feeder cattle, Monday was down $1.97, Tuesday down 22, Wednesday down 55, Thursday up 57, Friday up 212, and your January feeder cattle, a spot feeder cattle contract, ended the week at 139.72, down a nickel for the week. And it's kind of funny because the week before that it was down a nickel for the week, but that's nothing. March feeder cattle ended the week at 140.55. That was actually up $1.13. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday, only 46,500 head. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, packers are short bought, guys. I don't care if we are coming into the holidays. Packers are short bought. Okay, your live sales, steers and heifers, 103 to 108, mostly 107 to 108, but a lot of cattle sold off the market last week, especially in Iowa. If you guys up in Iowa don't have good contact to get your cattle sold, and you're only handling a pen or two a year or something like that, or maybe just have them done every so many months, get a hold of somebody that can help you market those cattle. Get a hold of Mike Schwark there with Iowa Cattle Marketing Cooperative, and that's what he does. He pools people's cattle and gets them sold for them, and uses the numbers as leverage. So get a hold of them there in cooperation with Iowa Cattlemen's Association. Got to quit pissing these cattle away. You'll see, I'll show you how it works on the weighted average, and it also works on the market when you guys are selling them way off the market, and they're usually a lot higher grading cattle than what the bulk sell at. But 107 to 108 mostly, but your weighted average on live steers through Thursday of last week was 106.86 when the bulk of the sales were 107 to 108. Too many people selling off the market and well off the market. I mean, sales, mid to late week, 103, 104, 105 maybe, but that weighted average price was down $3 when the live cash market was mostly down $2. Dress sales ranged from 164 to 170, another wide range there, mostly 167 to 168, and that's $2 to $4 lower. But your weighted average on dress steers through Thursday of last week, 167.80, that was down over $4 on the weighted average compared to the previous week, and a lot of those dress sales well off the market. Fridays, we did have a little bit of trade, but we're not going to reach 50,000 for the week in the 5-area feeding region. Iowa about 500 head at 104 when the market is 108. Nebraska about 400 head at 105 and some 168. Kansas, a couple hundred head at 106. Guys selling off the market, and I don't expect the market to be that great here for the rest of the year. But and they're going to keep talking about how they're slowing the chain speeds down, but they've got to have some cattle, guys, and they are going to be short bought this week. And gosh, surely you can at least hold steady. Box beef cutout values, I told you they were down really hard, and they lost a ton of ground. Choice cuts, this is the weighted average on all of last week's sales, 220.51. That was down $19.93. But that 220.51 weighted average price for last week was much better than Friday afternoon at 214 and change. They've been down a ton. We never used to see this much volatility in your box beef cutout values, but until we got to COVID, then we started seeing those big swings, mostly from the panic buying and the gouging that was going on. And then when it come off, I mean, you had to get things back right. But man, the volatility is really wide in these box beef cutouts now. Select cuts, weighted average for last week, 202.15, down 19.03. But your last sales at the end of the week were 196. That's a bunch lower. Pretty good movement though, 913 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter for last week, 665,000, down just 2,000. I thought they were going to slow them way down. Down just 2,000 from the previous week, and down only 1,000 from the same week a year ago. Now your slaughter is down 3.4% year to date. And that's what's caused a lot of our backups and our troubles and all that, pretty much due to the COVID and the production problems I had in there. But we have never got completely caught back up with that. But we are gaining just less than 3.5% there compared to a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction, 136.12 ending the week. That was down 141 for the week, so we didn't lose that much ground, but it was still lower. We started the week out pretty much steady all the way through Wednesday morning for the most part. Steady, unevenly steady, somewhere right in there. Cattle were trading, heavy receipts, so you can actually say that it was pretty strong. And I'm talking about feeder type cattle going right into the feedlot. Big yearlings, best on those that still have a chance to make the April board as far as a hedge, and then your big calves that have to go right on to feed, selling pretty steady through Wednesday. But after that Tuesday $2 lower trade there on your fat cattle trade, it affected your feeder cattle market quite a bit, and by the end of the week we were sure $1 to $3 lower on feeding type cattle. Now on your stocker calves and your lighter backgrounding type calves, guys are already buying grass cattle right now. They're going to kind of dry winter them, just kind of keep them alive and healthy through the winter, and man, then they'll have something raring to go for early spring turnout. But good demand on them. The wheat has popped here in the last 2 or 3 weeks here, and so there's good demand for wheat calves. but $2 to $5 higher on your stocker and lighter backgrounding calves. They're selling pretty good. Except in the Southeast, and they kind of backed off on those orders in the Southeast. It was up pretty good the week before, but this past week it kind of fell off a little bit, and it's getting pretty close to the holidays to be calling in orders to the Southeast, putting loads together, because those sales are already starting to wind down, and they'll take a full 2 weeks off. Both the week of Christmas and the week between Christmas and New Year's. But I want to remind you guys, Central Oregon Livestock was working a sale with Trent Stewart there on Saturday, and he's got that good run of calves coming on, guys, and about 3,000 calves, and a third of them or better are going to be third-party verified NHTC. They're on dvauction.com out of Central Oregon there. And you guys can view and bid that sale here on Monday. So I hope you didn't watch this too late if you wanted to get in on those. But they're on West Coast time, so you guys should be okay if you're back over here somewhere in the center. But heavy receipts, like I said, moved a lot of cattle last week. And in that market, 1 to 3 lower at the most on your big feeding type cattle, and your stocker calves selling stronger. That's not the worst. How about some top quotes at the end of the week? Mankato Livestock, Mankato, Kansas, sold 70 head, 806-pound feeder steers, $142.85. I'm about to go up in the Northern Plains Magnus Livestock Market in Huron, South Dakota. 58 head, 649-pound big steer calves, $160. And then the top light calf quote I saw was out of St. Onge Livestock, St. Onge, South Dakota. My buddy Justin Tupper there. And that's the Zach Tran top quote for the day is 120 head, 446-pound little steers, $198. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.